It's this morning on TVC News. Thank you for joining us. Now to our next discussion. President Bola Tinubu signs comprehensive economic pact with United Arab Emirates. It happened at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, which held this week, and then a lot is coming in from there. Joining me in the studio for the conversation this morning on what this pact actually means for Nigeria is Mukhtar Mohammed. He is CEO Finance with Mukhtar. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me, boss. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. I guess it's always okay to say Happy New Year. So far, you've not seen the president in the course of the year.
Yes, you say Happy New Year in Nigeria until January ending.
Okay. So I take it as that. All right. So, Mr. Mohammed, let's understand what this pact means for us. It is the comprehensive economic partnership agreement that we signed with the UAE. What exactly is it about?
Well, I think it's about tariff. It's about some product that we export from Nigeria to UAE will now have no tariff. Also, there's a lot of, they also can also begin to think of exporting their own product to Nigeria. I wonder what product they will definitely import, because UAE is largely driven by the export-free zone. But I think the good thing about it is that Nigerian products now getting to UAE will enjoy relatively low tariff, if there is at all, and in some cases no tariff. You know that the Nigerian community in the UAE and the African community in the UAE is getting bigger by the day, so definitely that creates another market for Nigeria. It's a comprehensive economic plan, but again, it also will have to do also with bilateral relationship. Also, are also included in that, but once these things are signed, you don't seem to get those details until later you see those details unfolding. But as it is now, I think it's a good thing. Sustainable development in there. Also, we see partnership in the area of climate change, also in the area of technology. But again, there will be little bit challenges, because when you are signing bilateral agreement, we're already having challenges with the UAE in terms of visa issues for Nigeria's slimless visa policy to be able to go into the UAE. I think those are things that this current agreement might be able to address. But my challenge again is when you look at the UAE, they run a very complex type of governance or economy, whereby you see that the UAE can just be Abu Dhabi and others excluding Dubai from it. So sometimes Dubai has their own policy that also is exclusive to attract investment. So that's why I say details will be unfolding, because when you talk about UAE, sometimes we think it's just Dubai. Yeah, Abu Dhabi is the capital of UAE. That's why at a point in time we have Emirates Air flying to Nigeria, and Air Italia also from the Dubai and the UAE government. So it's all a different type of scenario when you look at that. But in terms of movement from UAE, Abu Dhabi to Dubai, is slimless. But again, when it comes to economy, sometimes it's complex, because you have the crown king of the UAE as the king of the UAE as the president of the UAE, and you have the crown prince of the UAE as like the governor or the deputy prime minister of Dubai. So it's something that we need to look at it carefully, whether this agreement actually open up to every part in the UAE.
Indeed. And, you spoke about the issue of visa. We know that Nigeria has attempted, since the president came on board, the country has attempted to really, firm things up with the UAE. We saw that visit by the president in the past, and the whole talk of it. And then talking about the issue of visas, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment had mentioned that Nigerian businesses can now establish operations in the UAE through new corporate entities, branches and subsidiaries. And importantly, Nigerian business visitors can enter the UAE for up to 90 days in 12 months to explore trade and investment opportunities. So is that a bit relaxed from what it is?
Well, we need to, like I said, we need to get clarity on that. We've seen some of these agreements come out before now, and we celebrate it. And then the next time again, you see extraneous visa issues. Now, you say businesses can come into the UAE, can be in the UAE for 90 days. Fantastic. Now, what are the process in registration of those business? What will it entail? Because sometimes they don't tell you this. What is the financial implication of it? Is it I'm a startup, can I come into Dubai? Or there's a type of terms of capital that your company has grown for you to be able to establish in UAE. What is the minimum requirement to establish a business in the UAE? All these are things that we've not seen from this agreement.Maybe as time goes on, trade is always an ongoing conversation. As time goes on, we might begin to see a clarity, especially that comes to those visa issues for businesses, for startup. I think that for me will be a game changer. But again, when you look at businesses in Nigeria, what businesses want to be established in the UAE? If you look at it, the best type of businesses that Nigerians want to establish in the UAE will be businesses that have to do with tourism. And so, what is the modality? Because naturally, what Nigerian goes to the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi to do is the tourist attraction. So are we going to add then the agriculture? Because when you start having tourists, then you need to also bring in your agricultural products so that you can be able to have those synergy in terms of agricultural products. What Nigerians want to eat, Nigerian tourists, they will easily be available. So when you look at this agreement, agricultural sector will benefit from it, and also the tourist sector. Then you also have to look at the area of service sector, because Dubai is very volatile in service. A lot of Nigerians go to Dubai for meetings, to meet up with some corporate entity, because a lot of big companies have their headquarters in the Middle East and stationed in Dubai. So that also is another game changer for the service sector.
I suppose that the government, especially the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, have their work cut out for them.
Definitely.
To explain what this actually means for the people. And how soon do you think they should get to it?
I think very soon. As soon as possible, so that we don't give room for a lot of speculation. A lot of people beginning to tell us what is in there, why it's not just an agreement. Remember, we signed that agreement before, like I said, when the president first came to power as regards Nigeria not entering Dubai. He went there, he signed this agreement, which was more or less like, oh, finally, we can go there. Then you saw those strenuous things attached to getting a visa to go there. You have to pay X amount. If you are not married, you have... So all this, whether you're a business person, whether you're not married, will this also not affect them? So definitely we'll need clarity, because as it stands now, that bilateral agreement of the air transport, whereby you can have seamless movement from Nigeria to Dubai, as far as visa policy, is still shared in a lot of controversy. All
right, and I think, talking about the UAE stance on some of those issues, it's like them just trying to still keep themselves, protect their legacy, what they have been known for. They seem to pride themselves as, one of the core in the Middle East, and just sustain that legacy, really, that, okay, we don't accept certain things on our soil.
In our soil.
Yeah, okay. Now, talking about some of the elements of that deal, we have, Nigeria also. Okay, so one important thing, the UAE is to remove tariffs on over 7,000 Nigerian export produce. Are you excited by that?
Definitely, very, very excited. And we need to know what these products are also. But I'm excited about that. Like I said, when there's no tariff, again, he makes it cheaper, and it's also making you competitive. So you are able to compete, because again, we're removing all those tariff on those products. Then you're having that competitive advantage, because the challenges that we have as Nigeria and as Africa is the tariff issue, the cost in terms of we competing globally. Because when you look at the cost of production and the cost of production there, you realize they have a lower cost of production, so they tend to sell their own product lower. But now with that will reduce your cost of production, because you are not paying for tariff, and that will make our goods cheaper for those that want to buy it there. So it makes us competitive and also give us a competitive advantage over our own competitors.
All right, and that deal, I believe, also supports something that should take place in Lagos in February. They call it Investopia, and it's the country, Nigeria, is to co-host Investopia with the UAE in Lagos in February. And the initiative is aimed at attracting global investors and accelerating sustainable investment inflows. What are your expectations from?
I'm excited about that also. Like I said, the UAE has become a global hub for big industry, especially in the service sector. And you and I know that what we really need these days is the service sector, especially in the area of infrastructure. So once you begin to establish source policy and they come in here, this first-hand information, they see the opportunity that is here. There's so much opportunity in Nigeria, so they will not see the marketability of their products in Nigeria, and also they also begin to look at the profit margin that they will be able to generate if they establish their business in Nigeria. So I think it's a very good initiative, and it's starting so soon with this summit that they are trying to organize. So I think it's very, very good.
So when we hear about these deals, sometimes there's usually, there could be skepticism because people just want to know, yes, all of these have been announced, but how do we ensure that we get fair advantage? How do we ensure that it is not only this partner that is making the most of this deal, that Nigeria also, at least, the ratio is cool enough, fair enough? Well,
we are seeing a deal of 70%. Like I said, what product will the UAE be bringing into Nigeria? You know that they've established their country as an export-free zone, whereby a lot of product can come in there free without tariff. So that's what they bring. But I think what we'll be gaining from the UAE is such things as this investment summit, whereby we attract global players from the Middle East, now thinking of exploiting the African market. They won't mind establishing their base in Nigeria because the UAE summit will provide them that opportunity. So for me, that is one area that we will definitely benefit very well, because if you look at the UAE economy as it stands now, it's a service-driven economy because of the kind of infrastructure they have there. So definitely, we might begin to see the global players that are thinking of exporting or exploiting the African market begin to see Nigeria as a hub towards exploiting those markets. So to drive sustainability, how friendly would you say the Nigerian business climate is to retain these investors when they come in? Usually, there are things investors look at when they want to come into your company, in your country. First of all, they look at your two-way exchange system. Is it easy for me to come in and not easy for me to go out? Or is it easy for me to go out, not easy for me to come in? The two-way exchange system will be seamless. Then they look at your rule of law. Rule of law is very important, because when you are bringing in a business, you also have to think of the challenges, that the legal implication of whatever you are doing. Then thirdly, you have to look at intellectual property protection. That also has to be looked into. Now, when you look at all these variables I've talked about, you look at the rule of law, you know that Nigeria have to improve in the area of justice, so that when you have cases between establishment, it will be easily disposed of within the shortest possible time. In the area of intellectual property, we have the copyright organization, so they have to up their game to make sure that we are able to dispense justice on time, especially when it comes to business, because by the time you keep extending business, I give you an example of the Fidelity Bank issue with a particular company, and it took almost 14 years to go to the appeal to the Supreme Court before coming down. That is not good, especially in an era whereby you tend to attract investors. The two-way exchange system is very good. We now have it. We have had a competitive currency and a relatively stable currency, even if you see it moved from 1.5 to 1.48 and thereabout, but it's still relatively stable. Then you look at the microeconomic policy that will be coming in from the Nigerian government. Are these policies are good for them if they are coming in? That's another area. Then you also be looking at the monetary policy. Are this monetary policy being handled? What opportunities will these people see in it? So those are the things that make your environment more attractive. And as it stands now, you know that Nigeria is struggling in some of these areas.
All right, let's open the phone lines and let's get our viewers to tell us what they think about this pact and how they think that as a nation we can make the most of it. And also, for future engagement, what do they think that government should actually pay attention to? All right, the phone lines are open. We look forward to hearing from you. Now, part of this deal, Mr. Mohammed, we're talking about, the president spoke about plans to mobilize $30 billion annually in climate green industrial finance.
I think that will be to our advantage. Because when you look at climate change, it still is something that in this part of the world, we are still struggling because, again, you look at our economy, you look at the renewable energy sector, clean energy, and you know, like the president have said, to develop the largest economy, the G20, that you also have to think of this country, Africa, when you are talking about climate change, in terms of where do you think they should 100% shift to climate change, because when you look at oil production, the climate change advocacy group will tell you that it's detriment to the environment. So how do you move to new energy? New energy is capital intensive. So such funds coming in now will enhance those movements and help the sustainability, especially in the area of climate change, for every company that will be able to access those funds to make sure they are climate change compliant.
The issue of climate change has been heavily debated, because there are those who say that the developing nations are simply paying for what the world powers are doing. How much of waste comes from Nigeria? How much of degradation really comes from the global south that is eventually at the end of this? So how do you think we can strike a balance, or what would you say we do? Because a country like the U.S. now, President Donald Trump would tell you, you need to drill more and more, despite global calls for countries to exercise restraint.
I think, again, you have to look at your economy, and you also have to look at the economic advantage. Then, in terms of switching, you also need to ask for support so that companies that are employing your citizens are not begin to struggle because of climate change. So we must strike a balance in terms of what works for us and competitive advantage. So that's why I always say you don't copy everything they do, because the climate is different. So I think that's what we need to do. All
right, we have a caller now, Ada calling from Jos in Plateau State. Good morning, Ada, and
hello.
Welcome to the program. Welcome, Ada. Let's have your contribution.
Yes, hello, good morning. It's Ada calling from Jos, Plateau State. I've looked at the whole thing. That is your topic this morning. That's the Tinubu signed comprehensive economic pact with United Arab Emirates. When I saw this, even before now, the day it was happening, I watched it on television. My own worry is when they say they are removing all those tariffs, and all that. Would there be a trade imbalance on would there be a trade imbalance on our own part, considering that we don't even have much to offer? So your guest there should explain to us how we're going to go about it, because we have to step up our exports. We have issues on that. So if not, for me, it looks like a trading balance, and they will gain more than us. All the team, let's not give up on Nigeria. To get better.
All right, Ada, thank you for joining us. So Ada is talking about trading balance.
No, we've addressed that already. We're looking at trading balance, but again, if you look at Nigeria and the Chinese, we are still battling with trading balance. So definitely, trading balance is becoming a trade issue that countries have to address. But again, when you look at this bilateral agreement, like I said, many details are not out yet, but you see that they're trying to guide against this trade imbalance. And when you look at the country that we are really having this agreement with, comprehensive economic agreement, it's a country also that has its own challenges. I think we'll definitely have those trade imbalance, but again, it might work to our advantage, like I said, because of the sector advantage, like tourism, food, and agriculture.
And that is specific to this particular country. So if there is another country, we need to watch out for what applies. So
that's what we're talking about, taking advantage of our competitive advantage.
Indeed, because back to the issue of climate change in Nigeria, we know that Enugu, not just in word, even its slogan, is the coal city.
Exactly.
And then you would assume that if we really do go back there, we should be able to make something for ourselves beyond oil, because also there's a lot of talk about oil and perhaps also it dwindling. Okay, we'll take it from there. Let's hear from, is it Jeremiah? Okay, calling us from Ogun State. Welcome to the program, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, please turn down or turn off your TV set so we can talk. If you can hear us, Jeremiah, you're on. Please, let's have your contribution. All right, he's off the line. We'll get back to him if he's able to call back. So, Enugu, exploring other options that we have, or is it that we just have to look away completely from all these mineral resources and focus on other things as a nation?
No, as a nation, we have to. We can't look away from the mineral resources as it stands now, but again, if you look at global economy itself now, they are moving away from the mineral resources. They are moving into the area of fintech, technology, and also they are moving into the area of the service sectors.
All right, Mr. Mohammed. Okay, as key drivers. Yes, Jeremiah is back. He's calling from Ogun State. Good morning, Jeremiah. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and good morning to you.
All right, let's have your contribution.
I'm Jeremiah. Yes, I've been to Dubai. I've been for more than 2 years. And I understand how economic policy of Abu Dhabi government works. So whatever that does not benefit them, I don't think they will give us that. So I accept this agreement to be surrounded in secrecy because Nigeria does not have the UAE government. So on that premise, I don't think it will be very fair in this agreement. So just like the guest in the studio has said, when the president went to UAE to negotiate for ban on Nigeria initially, they said they've opened up. But when you want to apply, they will be giving you strenuous requirements for you to apply for visa. So for me, I don't think the UAE government is sincere when it comes to international or bilateral policy, especially with the Nigerian government. So I just hope in this case, it will be a business as usual.
All right, Jeremiah. Thank you very much. Jeremiah is skeptical.
I'm not skeptical. Like I said, we need to have details of those agreements. I'm not skeptical. The president cannot travel go all the way to go and sign an agreement that is not going to be beneficiary to all Nigerians. I think we should also give him credit that he has been one of the #1 marketing officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He tried to market Nigeria as a country that is open to good trade policy that does not infringe into our rule of law. So we should commend him. And in doing that, we don't expect him to sign off Nigeria, sell our birthright, if you want to use that word. So I think, I don't think this agreement will be shown in a lot of secrecy. Definitely there will be more details about how this agreement will affect those businesses. And
I also suppose that, for anyone who is skeptical at this moment, perhaps we should first look forward to what happens in February at the Investopia. At least that should be one of the first few steps, and then we get to see also what that does and know how far the agreement can take us as a nation. All right, we're talking about that comprehensive agreement, economic pact that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, signed on behalf of Nigeria with the government of the United Arab Emirates. We've been talking about some of the elements of that deal. We have a caller now from Ikeja. Good morning and welcome to the program. Are you there? Can you hear us, please?
Yes, this is George from Ikeja. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. The UAE economy, like Mukhtar said, good morning to Mukhtar and Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you, John.
The economy is service-driven. I think our people are mainly traders. This is an opportunity for us to, take advantage of what what the UAE generally offers. But we need the details. Those list of items that they talked about, people want to know what they are. Maybe if the Minister of Trade, if she comes back, she should publish that list for people to know what is there and where to approach the subject. I am not skeptical about it. For them to sign that pact with Nigeria, they know what we have, they know what we can do, And the president and his team has also studied what obtains there. For him to go and spend a week in that place, you know that this president does not do anything other than political business. So let's see what it offers. We will not be at a disadvantage. That's what I believe. I don't know if you will permit me to say something on the first topic you discussed. Can I?
Okay, quickly, go ahead, please.
The way I see it, madam, the Rivers State governor, he cannot be helped. Severally, the president has taken his time out of his busy schedule to call him to meetings. They will agree to something, he will sign, and then he will go back and he will not implement. Even after the state of emergency impact, they signed another agreement. He went back and did something else. He doesn't seem to have a political tact at all. I may be wrong. He's not a man. He doesn't. He's not a man of himself. Why do you go back in the first place? Why do you sign what you know you cannot implement?
All right, George. George, thank you very much.
A state that a governor runs without a budget.
All right, George, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. So if you may take it from where George ended, talking about the comprehensive economic pact, that deal that we signed. So it means that Nigerians have to now look in the way of services, because you did mention that that is where we're headed now.
That's where we're headed now, and that Dubai is the hub of service. So definitely it will be an opportunity, especially in that summit in February, where a lot of those service sector will be coming to Nigeria. Hopefully they will see those opportunities, and hopefully some of our service sector companies will begin to partner with those service sector in the Middle East that are global players. So we might see an expansion of the Nigerian service sector. Like I said, definitely now, the service sector is the key driver of every economy, especially in this dispensation.
And if we talk about service, what sort of is it businesses now? What sort of brands? Okay, well, not brand. What sort of businesses are we looking at?
We're looking at telecommunication. That is one area of the service sector. We're also looking at in the area of maritime sector. Also, that's the transport. It's a service sector. We look at the aviation sector. It's a service sector.
So do you think that at this point, perhaps Nigeria also needs to consider having a national carrier?
When it comes to national carrier, I think if you study the global trend of countries, the British Airways, the Kenya Airways, the Ethiopia Airways, realize that government is just a shareholder, but it's largely driven by the private sector. So I'm not against the national carrier. I'm in support of us having a national carrier, but it should not be run by government. It should be run by private sector, just like we have the LNG, where it's run by private sector and government are being paid dividend. I believe that is the best way forward.
All right, we have Joshua on the line. Good morning, Joshua. Good to have you join us.
Good morning, Abosede, and good morning to your guest. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Mukhtar for also speaking well to the matter of this agreement. I think we are fortunate as Nigerians to have a president that is marketing his nation. It's something very, very uncommon. And this man is actively in the forefront, winning deals for Nigeria. The UAE market is something came as a big surprise to me for the president to be able to pull this through. You see, that market is a very reliable market, and there are partners that you can count on if you have an agreement with them. I know it will work well for Nigeria. It's just for us as citizens to put our acts together so that when approaching that nation or the deal that are offered to us, we put our best foot forward. It's now about citizens, the citizens doing the right thing to give bite to what the president is winning for us. I also commend the Minister of Trade, and that woman is incredible. I think the president is blessed with the right team, and the administration should follow through that agreement so that it will help. Just one word, please, on Rivers State. I beg the governor to please do the right thing, do the needful. You see, anybody following social media will be misled. The governor should please, if the buck stops on his desk, nobody can help him. He should please do the right thing. His colleagues have voted like him. He should carry them along and rule the state as an executive governor, not as a sole administrator. Thank you, ma'am.
Joshua, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Joshua made a point about doing the right thing, even when Nigerian businesses, attempt to maximize this deal. What would doing the right thing involve?
Like I said, in intellectual property copyright law must be observed by Nigerian businesses. That is key. And that's why the rule of law also comes in.
And then also in attitude.
No, when you talk about the service sector, if you don't have attitude, you cannot survive. The service sector is all about service to the people. It's the largest sector in the world as it stands now. You're talking about global players. When you talk of Apple, it's about service. When you talk of Amazon, it's about service. When you talk of even Nvidia, it's about service. And these are the big players. So you definitely, that's why I say the service sector is the key drivers of the world economy. In the first time, the first dispensation, the first industrial revolution, we started with the railway revolution. The railway sectors, the telephone sectors were the key drivers. We come to the second industrial revolution, and we saw how the agricultural sector began to be the key drivers of that economy. Then we got to the third industrial revolution. We saw deals between countries and companies, not like countries and countries. We begin to see deals between countries and companies. But we have come to the fourth industrial revolution, which is largely technological driven. And this is the service sector that is at the head of it.
Indeed. And just as we mentioned also, we hope that in the days to come, we will begin to hear more about this deal and how Nigerians can be a part of it. But importantly, Nigerians should look out for that Investopia, which happens in Lagos in February. That's next month. I'm sure that information would be out there for everyone to take note of. All right, as we begin to wrap up the conversation, I would like us to go briefly back to the issue of climate change, and then, that is a wrap. The president made a profound call. He said, we are calling for a fundamental shift in the global financial architecture, a move away from the restrictive requirement of sovereign guarantees, which unfairly penalize developing economies. Meaning?
Yeah, what it means is that sometime again, developing economies are suffering from a lot of trade and bilateral trade agreements that the developed economy are not keeping to their own part of the deal. And that's what the president talking about sovereignty. Talk about you have a bilateral trade agreement, which also involve aviation and other sectors, but yet you are not making it competitive. Example is you have a local carrier, even if it is not a government local carrier, but it acts as a carrier that can move people from Nigeria to Dubai. So why do you need sovereign bonding for them to be able to land at a particular airport? I think that is what the president is saying. There should be openness to those things to make sure that you don't restrict the developing nation. And in the area of finance, just today we are seeing Nigeria has been removed from those financial risks country. So those are part of the things. In doing financial risks, you look at the country itself, but also in looking at the country, you shouldn't just think of just weighing the big stick, but also think of how you can help those countries to be able to know the difference between funds that are in there for terrorism and funds that are in there for development.
Indeed, and I know that a number of people have asked questions about where is the president, but the president is saying, okay, this is where I've been and this is what I have been doing, signing the comprehensive economic pact with the United Arab Emirates. Let's see how it all goes and how Nigeria benefits from this deal. It's been a pleasure having you with me in the studio. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO of Finances. Mukhtar, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Bossette.
Well, that's our show for today. We thank you very much for being a part of it. Remember, you can watch a repeat broadcast at 4 a.m. I am Bossette at Enjoy the rest of your weekend.